Last summer, when the first trailer for Snow White was released, Rachel Zegler decided to promote it on her own personal X account by tweeting it out and then just having a simple statement to follow it, just to kind of encourage people to go check it out for themselves. Of course, when this happened, she also had a follow-up statement that a lot of people interpret as her kind of knocking her co-star Gal Gadot because, well, let's just look at what she posted here. So, after the trailer was first released, which has actually gotten over 1 million dislikes since it was released last summer, she shared it out by saying, "I love you all so much. Thank you for the love and for the 120 million views on the trailer in just 24 hours and a lot of dislikes, might I add. What a whirlwind. I am in the thick of rehearsals for Romeo and Juliet, so I'm going to get out of here. Bye for now." And then she responded to that. "And always remember, free Palestine." And that's kind of it. And a lot of people took note of that because her co-star Gal Gadot in this is Israeli. She actually served in the Israeli Defense Force because all citizens of Israel are required to have a mandatory, I believe, 2 years of service. But a lot of people thought that was kind of in bad taste to basically stand up for the group that her co-star's country is fighting against. And especially since it was completely unnecessary for her to say something like that. I mean, it's not like she's Palestinian or anything like that. She was just saying that because, well, she's a young person and that's kind of what young people are supposed to say these days. So she's just following the trend. I mean, personally, I don't think she actually really cares about it. I think she's just doing this because a lot of people are kind of suckered into the idea that you have to be for one side or the other whenever there's a group fighting against another group within the news. A lot of people were saying, who are critical over her, saying this: "What a sad, petty, and ignorant person you are," over her Free Palestine comment. Rachel Zegler is trolling her much more famous and beautiful Snow White co-star Gal Gadot. "Disney continues to hire the wrong actors to represent their brand rather than promoting a film. They choose to embarrass themselves and the studio." And I agree. I think she shouldn't have said this sort of thing, but I don't really want to spend too much time on this one because I made a video last year talking about it when this whole thing happened. But what I'm going to talk about this time now is Gal Gadot apparently, or at least some people are thinking that she's making a remark attacking Rachel Zegler because the movie is supposed to be coming out in just a couple weeks now. And she made these remarks recently when she was accepting an award for her contributions for Israel and other things like that. But let's just take a look at this article and you be the judge. Do you think that she was kind of calling out Rachel Zegler in this veiled attack, or do you think she was just making general statements? Gal Gadot appears to fire back against Rachel Zegler Middle East stance with ADL speech. Is Snow White caught in the middle of global conflict? And there actually is some conflict to be had around this movie now because of the political stance of both the actors involved with it, because there are some people who don't want to see this movie because Gal Gadot's involved with it, and there's some people who don't want to see this movie because of Rachel Zegler's position on Palestine right now. So it's really not good for the movie to have both actors take opposite stance on these hot button issues. And like I said, like I don't understand why some people feel like they have a stake in this, but I understand Gal Gadot because that's her country, but for other people, I don't really understand it. But you know, that's just how it is. People like to pick their team and root for their team against the other side, but for stuff like this, people take it pretty seriously when I don't think they really have any business to. Disney's Snow White has been a public relations nightmare from the start, but now it seems the controversy has gone beyond bad trailers and box office projections. The two lead actresses, Gal Gadot and Rachel Zegler, appear to be on completely opposite sides of one of the most divisive global conflicts of our time, and it may be showing in more ways than none. And I 100% agree. I think they are on the opposite sides of this sort of thing, and it is kind of spilling over. Now, will this affect the quality of the film? No, because principal photography and even a lot of the reshoots were done before a lot of this kicked off. And even then, there's plenty of movies where the actors didn't get along that those movies turned out fine. Now, I'm not going to say that this is going to turn out fine, but I think a lot of the ramifications for having this conflict between the two actresses is because, like I said, there's some people who will take that as to say like, well, I can't support this movie if a pro-Israeli person is in it, or I can't support this movie if a pro-Palestinian person is in this movie. Now, if they would have kept both their positions kind of quiet, like I don't know if Gal Gadot could have necessarily have done that because of her ethnicity. I don't think it would have worked. If there's people who aren't going to watch the movie because of an Israeli in it, I don't think it really would have mattered regardless of whether or not she's actually said anything on the matter. I think most people would have just assumed her position. But Rachel Zegler, she basically just invited a lot more people to be upset with the movie, and she's already has enough problems as it is with her risking alienating a longtime Disney fans, as well as people who don't like a lot of the woke stuff that she's promoting. Now this is just another avenue for another group of people not to want to watch this movie because of her positions on this. At an Anti-Defamation League ADL event this week, Gadot received the ADL International Leadership Award and delivered a passionate speech affirming her support for Israel and condemning what she sees as growing hostility towards the Jewish community. The speech comes just months after Zegler posted Free Palestine while promoting Snow White trailer, directly tying the Disney film to her stance on the Middle East conflict. Now, does that mean that she's actually targeting Rachel Zegler with these remarks? I don't know. Let's just go a little bit further. Does it say what she says? While Gal Gadot never directly mentioned Zegler, the timing, wording, and strong rebuke of those who celebrate hostility certainly feel like a pointed response. And if that wasn't enough, the tension between the two actresses became even more obvious when they appeared together at the Academy Awards this week. Now, saying it's like with the timing and everything like that, it seems like it's directed at Rachel Zegler. I'm not 100% convinced about that. Maybe she does have Rachel Zegler in the back of her mind, but I'd need to know a little bit more before I could actually determine that, yes, she was directly going after Rachel Zegler with her remarks. I'm not saying it didn't happen or she's not doing it, but I'm just not 100% convinced. But as far as tension between the two actresses, I think I'm not going to say it's obvious or anything like that, but I do think that is a strong possibility. This points out the Oscar moment between them. Let's see. First off, Gadot never once looks at Zegler while they stood at the podium. Her body was visibly leaning away from Zegler, creating clear distance between them. It looks as though she were almost repelled by Zegler's presence. She also keeps her focus entirely on the audience, barely acknowledging her co-star's presence. So let's just take a look at this clip here.
Visual effects push the boundaries of what we see on screen.
You see the distance between them a little bit there.
With breathtaking ambition,
they seem a little awkward and stiff, but at the same time, that's a lot of people who present awards.
Here are the nominees for Best Visual Effects.
Okay, she looked over at her right there, so that's not entirely true where it says she never looks at her. I mean, they never like make eye contact or anything like that, but they're not talking to each other in this situation. They're talking to the audience. They're presenting an award. And it says how Gal Gadot keeps her focus on the audience. Well, that's because that's where it's not a teleprompter, but they have a screen in the back where it's kind of like not cue cards, but basically just a screen that tells them what they're supposed to be saying on there. So they're probably focusing on that. Perhaps a little bit nervous for presenting an award like this in front of their peers and the biggest award ceremony in the entertainment industry or in the movie industry. So I can see why that would account for why it seems a little bit awkward between them. But I don't know. Like I said, I can't say 100% that there is tension between them, or at least it's spilled over in the public. But I think it is reasonable to assume that there is some animosity between them. I don't know if there's any accounts of them being seen together publicly or something like that, if they're just like hanging out off work or anything like that. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, just because they're not doesn't necessarily mean that there's an issue with them. But if they were doing that, then I think it would be safe to say that no, there's no tension between them. But I think it is reasonable to assume that there is some tension between them, and perhaps Gal Gadot did have Rachel Zegler on her mind when she was talking about hostility towards Israel and other stuff like that. But what does this mean for Snow White? Well, I already said it's not good because it's inviting more conflict surrounding this movie than what it already needs. But even if this stuff wasn't there, there's still a lot of issues with this upcoming movie. The trailer was already getting heavily disliked before Rachel Zegler made her comments. A lot of people were already put off by what they're doing with the story and a lot of the other comments that she's made in the past. So I don't see how this being resolved would have actually fixed anything, or if Israel and Palestine actually reached a peace deal between them. I don't think this would have I don't think that would affect the outcome of this movie. All I think it does is really just add another wrench in the engine for this one thing. And it's going to make it more difficult for Disney because it's just alienating yet more people in the audience who would potentially otherwise see this movie. But let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. Did it feel to you like there was some tension between the two actresses at the Oscars and that Gal Gadot's statements was actually directed at Rachel Zegler? Or do you think there were just kind of other reasons as to why things appeared the way that they did? And do you think Rachel Zegler's previous comments about Palestine were kind of directed at Gal Gadot in any way? Or do you think she was just mouthing off on social media and wasn't necessarily thinking twice about it? Comment below, let me know what you think. And also, if you haven't already, make sure you click that subscribe button if you want to stay up to date with the latest entertainment news. And don't forget to click the like button and share this video out there because it really helps out with the channel. Thank you.